Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Catherine Spitz-Cohan, Executive Director of Film Pittsburgh. It's opening night, and I'm thrilled to welcome the team from Freeland, Laura Heberton, Krisha Fairchild, Kate McLean, and Mario Furloni. Welcome, you guys, and thank you so much for allowing Film Pittsburgh to share your wonderful film with the audience. We're excited to kick it off with your film. And I want to start with you, Laura, and just say you're our Pittsburgh-based producer, and we couldn't be more thrilled to be sharing the film tonight with our audience.
Well, we are so excited, and as somebody who is here in Pittsburgh, it's really exciting to be the opening night film. So thank you for that, and we're just excited about the whole festival and the fact that it's happening and they pulled it off in such a great way. So really honored to be a part.
What a great film, and I'm excited to talk to you guys. Mario and Kate, co-directors, tell us, how did this film come to be? What a great story. Was it based at all on a person you knew, or how did it come to be?
Do you want to take that, Mario?
Sure. So Kate and I met in grad school 10, 11 years, 12 years ago. And we worked on a short documentary together while in grad school. We went to journalism school with a focus in documentary. And up north, up in Humboldt County, we stayed in the same town as we said, Freeland. And ever since we released that film 10 years ago, ever since we kept trying to find ways of going back there. We live about 5 hours south of where the story is set, and it's such a special place. We kept looking for stories to tell there, and when we settled into, like, okay, let's tell a fictional story because we can get more of the truth of the place if we set it as a fiction than as a doc. Strangely enough, because of access issues there, we felt that way, and then we met the amazing Laura Heberton at IFP 7 years ago, when we had a pretty bad script but with an interesting idea behind it. And she saw that interesting idea behind it in the setting, in the place. And then together we worked for years on this process of kind of stripping away some of the narrative conventions that we thought a fiction film should have, to land into the story. And then once we met Krisha, when we saw Krisha and the film Krisha, and things that really fell into place, and we found our person. And everything started coming together.
So I just have a quick question there. You said IFP, and I think that would be, if you could just explain briefly what that is to our audience.
Absolutely. So IFP is it's called Film Week. And they do a pitch session where creators and producers and financiers can meet and talk about projects. And we went there with Freeland about 7 years ago, and then we went again a couple more times. They've been essential to getting this film made.
Yeah, it's based in New York, and they've done it for 42 years now. But they run programs all year round, and they're hugely a huge part of the whole independent filmmaking ecosystem.
Gotcha. And so let's turn for a second to you, Krisha. Your performance in this movie was astonishing, and perhaps it's because I identify with you, being of a certain age category, but I so felt every emotion, and it felt like a thriller to me. Is she or is she not going to be able to stay afloat? And so if you could talk a little bit just about, your career as an actor and partaking in this film and being able to perform such an incredible role, that'd be great.
Thank you. Well, my career as an actor was a washout for me because people kept telling me I couldn't be who I was or look how I looked and still be an actor. And so I just kind of went, okay, I became a voice actor, and I supported myself for 40 years that way. And I get bit parts in films and stuff like that. And then after I had retired and was living in Mexico, my nephew, who I had kind of mentored all along, we had a tragedy in our family, and he wrote the script, and he asked me if I would honor the niece and my mother, who were the addicts in our family, by giving an effort to portray a pretty complex situation. And he trusted me to do that, and we all stepped in and did it. And then after that was over, it was an unbelievable Cinderella thing, and I thought, okay, well, that was good. That was all I needed. Now I can go back to Mexico and retire. And these guys sent me this very intriguing script with a character that I knew I could just play the pants off of, because I was exactly her age and her type and her, I mean, I always morph my characters with myself, but for her, it was not all that large a leap for any of it to find it. And then it became completely collaborative, which is always, to me, the best way to work. And they pitched it to me. I was thinking it was 7 years with Laura, and you first pitched it to me 5 years.
5 years.
Ago. And we all just kept believing it was going to happen, and the world kept changing, and the legalization process kept changing, and it kept it also alive and fresh, that it was about a real changing, morphing world. And so we all, by the time we came, we were steeped and we were ready. We were all like a team. We'd all been, even though we hadn't worked together physically, we'd all been spending hours and hours of email and backstory, and all the actors were doing. We were all doing work together to find our history of our characters, and I never thought I'd be so blessed to have another shot at a role like this, and I got that too.
So, Laura, Mario, Kate, how did you find Krisha? Because clearly, without Krisha, your film is something completely different. So, how did you find Devi?
Well, I was at South by Southwest. I had a film in competition at the same time as Krisha, and I was at the awards night. And when the film Krisha won the jury award, and then later won the audience award, as quite deservedly, I was there. I had not seen the film yet, but I'd seen they showed the trailer, and then when they won, and then when they announced it, the whole family, and it's a family of filmmakers. Half the people in the film are filmmakers. I mean, it's like it's an astonishing group. It's like of people all flood up on the stage, and there's just kind of chaos, and no one's going to the mic. And then Krisha goes to the mic and says, "I am Krisha." And it was like, I am so working with that woman. I was like, I have to work with her. She's amazing. And then I saw the film, and yeah, and it was just a coincidence that, I saw this person I was desperate to work with, and she was so perfect for this film, as it was so perfect for the film the way it was then, and then help grow the role and to help make it into this really truly astonishing performance that it is.
So let's talk a little bit about how you actually shot it and how things actually changed. Very interesting that first of all, the cinematography was beautiful. One of the things that I really love about film is that it gives me the opportunity to travel and to be there. And I've been to Humboldt County. And so it just felt like I was there. And I think I was sharing with Laura that when I was watching the film, the power of suggestion was so great that I actually felt like I smelled marijuana in my, emanating from my laptop. And I think that that's a true tribute to how you really took us into the story and the place. And so if you could talk a little bit about just how the film was shot, and how long did it take you, and the challenges of shooting, getting, the weed where it needed to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, Mario shot it, by the way. So for people, he doesn't have that label on him, but he is our cinematographer. So let me just for the audience out there, I just want to make sure they all know that. So.
Thanks, Laura. Kate, do you want to take this one and talk a little bit about the process?
Yeah, I mean, Mario and I have done a lot of documentary work together, and there was a period of time when we wanted to make this great big fictional film that, like, somehow we would get a dolly into the woods and do some crazy things, and then I think we had this conversation with Laura that was sort of about doing what you know and using the camera as a tool to inform your filmmaking. And like the way that Mario and I like to work when we're making docs is that I do sound and he does the camera. And like on some projects, it's even been that like literally there's a snake of cable between the two of us and we're in a verite setting and you have to kind of move together and make it work. And coming to that method of working, I didn't do audio on this, which I think was a great choice. But coming to that method of working where we were working with Mario's kind of best impulses and best eye as a director, cinematographer, and kind of using the monitor to think, what do we have? Where are we going? What do we know? What do we need? Informed the whole process. And so we decided to do it in a really fluid way. We did almost no lighting for the entire film, used natural light whenever possible. We made the crew as small as humanly possible and worked with people who could be total utility players, who could, you know, kind of do a little bit of continuity and a little bit of art direction and also maybe hang a light if they needed to. And so we were looking for those folks. And then also maybe say like, you know, the thing about that line is I wonder if the wording should change a little bit. So it was sort of like everybody on the film was promoted to storyteller, doing several jobs, and we were working in kind of a non-hierarchical way where the goal was to get the film in the can together. And that meant that we could move quickly. There wasn't a lot of technical interference, and we could really be listening to each other and listening to the story. And the actors, of course, are included in that kind of storyteller role as well. So that was the way that we worked, sort of from a technical standpoint, the technical standpoint being try to be as untechnical as humanly possible throughout the thing. How long
did it take you to shoot?
It was a 3-week initial shoot. And I guess the other thing that I would say is that because Mario and I had spent so much time there, when you think about the textures and the feelings of the place, we were working in places that were real, and you know there was no sort of positioning of the weed for the most part. It was like we're going to a real working farm. These are the plants. This is the agricultural stage that it's at. You know, later when we need weed that's at a different agricultural stage, we'll go to a different location where that's what's happening. And we were kind of coming into people's real working situations, and any art direction that was going on was more like, let's move that tchotchke off the shelf. It's a little busy, but definitely not at the level of kind of creating anything. It was much more sort of letting this wash of people's real environments kind of come in and inform the film as we worked.
And was it challenging to get access on a weed farm? I mean, was it easy? I mean, people were just like, oh, sure, come on, shoot here. You know, was it?
We weren't like parachuting in. I think that the key was that because Mario and I had made a doc there and had these ongoing relationships, and then because we also had this incredible local collaborator who grew up in the area and is now a filmmaker in the Bay Area, but had deep connections. Her name's Claire Weisbluth, and she kind of became the linchpin of our whole operation up there. Out of that, it wasn't a feeling of just, we show up at your farm, no one's ever seen us before, and we say we'd like to make a film there. And it was much more of a gradual process and a negotiation and a process of rewriting the script around the things that we knew that we had. Kind of a material.
Did you guys also write? I'm sorry for interrupting. Did you guys also write for it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can we talk a little bit about why you wanted to make a film about a mature woman who was potentially having the rug pulled out from under her in terms of her economic livelihood? I don't know if you want to.
Well, I think we always knew that the story we found out as we wrote, but that the heart of the story was it had to be with somebody who had moved there during the Back to the Land movement, right? It couldn't be a 30-year-old going through this, because it wouldn't mean the same, wouldn't mean anything in a way, right? Like it's for, I mean, or it would be very different. It would be a very different meaning for someone who grew up there, who was born there, than somebody who, like Devi, who moved there with dreams and who saw those dreams change for the better and worse because of pot, right? And so I feel like we always knew that, and for a while we had like in the script we had a daughter character, but then that instead morphed into what we ended up with, which is really centered on Krisha's character Devi, and then these younger employees, family-like tribe that she has there, that she's kind of a mentor kind of character.
Yeah.
Well, the Debbie character is really inspired by some real life people, a real life person who is in the short doc. So it's based loosely on some people that they had actually met.
I mean, I think a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a collection. Yeah,
it's like a generational dilemma that you talk to anybody of a certain age who's still in this business up there, and they're facing the questions that character is facing right now. It's a very ubiquitous issue.
Well, it's also very timely in terms of what's happening in our world right now, and many people are facing economic difficulties, being out of work. And so did you anticipate that as being, I mean, I'm sure you couldn't. How could you possibly anticipate that? But I mean, it is timely with what's happening now to so many people.
Yeah. Krisha, do you want to talk about that? Great.
Actually, I've been in isolation since March, and I'm an older person who really counted on being with my family and the people that I love as an important part of why I'm alive, why I want to stay alive. And these people in Humboldt were going through very much what people are going through right now. Everything they thought they had planned, everything that they thought they had ahead of them, no fault of their own, it's just gone. And I think it was, I think the film has resonated much more today than it would have normally. I think people my age, our age, would have gotten it. But I think that we got the opportunity to come out at a time when we can be of solace to a lot of people, to think I'm not alone. Oh, look, this woman is going, I'm going to have a good cry now. I'm going to get angry for her. I'm going to whatever, because a lot of people aren't able to go to those places honestly in their own life about the sense of loss that they feel. And one thing that has helped me tremendously is that while we were making this film, we were a family. We were the first face that each other saw every morning, and we were the last face that each other saw at night. We made coffee for each other. We took turns making breakfast. We ate all of our meals together. And I have to be honest, there are days when that memory is really important to me. I think there are a lot of people right now who are living in their memories. And we were blessed to get to make this film and then share it with people, because it's infused with that energy. If it makes one person think about their family that they can't be with and feel blessed in that family, then we did our job.
Have the people in Humboldt seen the film?
It's complicated. I think we really wanted to put together a big screening and bring people together, and there've been a lot of conversations about that, but there's not really a way to do it right now. And so in some ways it feels like putting a link online and not sort of being face to face and together wouldn't feel right. So I guess the answer, uncomfortably and reluctantly, is no, not yet.
Well, I look forward to the day when they can, because it's just such a beautiful, tribute in a way to the area. Before we end, I have a couple more questions, but I wanted to ask Laura, you're a producer, you're living in Pittsburgh. How did that come to be? How did you come to be a film producer? And do you have any words of wisdom for any filmmakers that might be watching, local or otherwise, just about how to, find someone like you to help them and mentor them and, steer a project?
I was a journalist for a long time and an editor, and I have an MFA in creative writing. So I'm somebody who's really quite obsessed with story and storytelling. I have a very, very dear, longtime, very good friend who was a film producer, and it was his idea that I become a film producer because he knows how much I like to advocate for people. So that's my favorite thing about being a film producer is being able to help people tell their stories, really, find ways to make it happen. Instead of just saying to my friends, yeah, that's a great idea. It's more active that way. In terms of being a film producer here in Pittsburgh, I'm lucky to get to live here in this great city where the arts are so incredibly well supported. I mean, it's a really phenomenal arts community here on every sense of the word arts. But I do really almost all of my work with people all over the place, as we all do. We all work with people everywhere. I mean, look at the four of us here, all in these, mostly different places. And so in terms of for people finding producers, that's a hard question. People ask me all the time if I can recommend other producers, and there aren't enough. I think more people should become producers. It's extraordinarily creative and satisfying, and I don't know in terms of people trying to help people find them. I mean, something like the Independent Filmmaker Project, IFP, is a good way. Some of these grant organizations are a great way, like San Francisco Film Society, which supported us also so many times. Those are ways to make connections. And also film festivals, I think, also are a way to meet other people. In fact, that's the first way. I don't know why I didn't say that. I mean, it truly is the first way to meet people and make connections. That's certainly where I've met people that I've worked with. So it's a little harder now because we're not physically there, but that's going to change. So.
I thank you so much for saying that, because as popular as some of our festivals are, it's amazing to me how many people have never attended a film festival or don't really understand what they are. But I have to say that one of the joys of my job is connecting filmmakers and meeting filmmakers and talking with filmmakers and sharing filmmakers, and you're all filmmakers here, with our audiences, sharing your thoughts. And it's really one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done in my life, because everybody is incredible. Like, it's the film festival world. There's hardly a bad egg in the bunch. Everybody you meet. And every time I've traveled to a film festival and interacted with filmmakers, it's not like being in the business in Hollywood. That it's just completely different and much more fulfilling, at least for me. And I think I'm speaking for lots of people when I say that. So.
No, it's full of joy. The film festivals are full of joy. And so the great thing about people doing these virtual festivals and all of us participating this way, it's enabling everybody to help try to keep the film festivals and the film societies alive. I mean, all of these regional film festivals are extraordinary and really often the best places to meet other filmmakers and filmmaking and actors and to make those connections and to talk to your audience and find out what worked and didn't work for them too, so.
I do miss that aspect. I'm sorry that we aren't able to have interactive Q&As, but this has been incredible.
Yeah,
I'm so great. Excited to kick off with Freeland, and you all are incredible. people. And I thank you for your time, your energy, your effort in making this film, and for being with us today to talk about the film. To our Film Pittsburgh audience, here's to the next 12 days of the film festival. I hope you watch often and enjoy as much as I have in terms of putting this all together. So thank you again to you and to the Film Pittsburgh audience. We will see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, everybody, for watching.